Think you could beat us at fantasy football? How about Matt Harmon or Marcus Grant from NFL? Dynasty Nerds. Think you could beat the football fellas? Think you could beat the Clock Dodgers podcast? Well, this is the time to find out. SleeperWire is hosting its annual Pro Am League, and we've got listener spots available. You'll be playing against podcasts and experts from the fantasy world, Roto Experts, Dynasty Happy Hour, SleeperBot, Fantasy Life, Eat Sleep Fantasy. They're all in the Pro Am, and this is your chance to play against them. All you have to do, go to SleeperWire.com/Pro-Am, P-R-O-A-M. Make a donation to SleeperWire's cause. Our good friend Rob, battling chronic Lyme disease, donate $10. $10 gets you an entry into a raffle. The names picked will play in the Pro-Am against these experts. The more $10 increments you donate, the more raffle tickets you get. We're going to be picking the winners soon and drafting late August. Go to SleeperWire.com/Pro-Am for details and how to enter. Go today. Welcome to the SleeperWire Fantasy Football Podcast. It is August 1st, 2017. My name is Producer Steve, and I will be joined shortly by my good friends Max and Dirty Jobs Mike. And today's show, we are doing a 10-man PPR mock draft on the SleeperBot platform. Now, if you haven't downloaded SleeperBot yet, do so today. It's a great app. You can also go to SleeperBot.com and do all the same things. They have a very robust mock draft engine going right now. This is the time of year you want to do mock drafts like crazy. Football season starts in a month and a few days, so now is the time to prepare. Do your mock drafts. See where people fall to you when you start at different positions. Practice some strategies you may have thinking about trying out. And with SleeperBot, it's great because you can make any kind of draft you want. You want to do a 2-quarterback? You can do it. 3-quarterback, super flex, do it. 16-team PPR, you can do it. So get that SleeperBot app, and when you do, go to the SleeperWire channel. Follow us there. Join that channel. You'll get notifications anytime we go live on the air, anytime we're doing mock drafts, or you can just ask us questions and we can talk football. All right, enough from me. Let me get in the draft room. Let's get this 10-man PPR mock draft started right now. All right, so we are beginning our mock draft 10-team PPR with the listeners and fans from SleeperBot. With me, as I said before, Max in the, the 5th spot. Myself, I took the 9th, and Dirty Jobs Mike in the 10th spot. So we're just going to kind of cover what happens in this draft and take a few stops on the hype train along the way.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so first off, we got, let's see who's in the draft. We got Tum Tum, Shabadi. Is that how you say his name? Shabadi? Max?
You know, he wrote it out. It's in the chat. Let me just scroll through the chat, which I just shrunk the screen. I don't know what's going on.
Sabadi, J Newt, Bemonage, Max, this guy's name I can't even read. USA, FCC 41, Jamie MF, me and Matt and Mike. So far no surprises in the first
The
round.
guy you couldn't pronounce is Walsh Your Mouth Out.
Walsh Your Mouth Out. All right, so these are all some new names. I recognize a few of these guys, but we got some new names, which is good.
This will actually be my first time drafting on the SleeperBot app.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Haven't had a chance yet, so.
A couple of the features that I like is the watch list. It doesn't disappear every time you do a new draft, so you kind of have to go in and adjust it.
Are you shocked that Julio Jones just dropped to 7th?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty late. I'd actually like him a little bit. I mean, this is PPR, right?
Yeah, it is. I got to Zeke at 5, I was kind of like, okay, like, I guess I could see that.
I take Julio before Zeke. How about you guys?
I'm a running back nut, so I wouldn't. But I'd definitely take him over LaShawn McCoy, who was drafted 6th. I'm just going to give a quick rundown. So we had first pick, Le'Veon Bell by Tum Tum. Sabati drafted David Johnson, number 2. Jay Newt drafted Antonio Brown, pick 3. With pick 4, drafted Odell Beckham. I drafted Zeke with the 5th pick. 6th pick by Walsh was McCoy. 7th pick was Julio Jones. 8th pick by Jamie was Mike Evans. Steve took Melvin Gordon. And the darling took A.J. Green. And that ends the first round. This draft is moving much faster than last week's.
I just got A.J. Green 10th, and I'm very satisfied with that.
That is
nice.
nice.
And you wrapped it around with Devontae Freeman, and Steve picked up Jordy. That's really good.
Yeah, I wanted Jordy really bad, but I needed a running back, I thought, right there. I was like, God, I want Jordy too, because that'd be a nasty 1-2 punch.
Yeah, it would be. Now, Jamie just picked up Jordan Howard, so he's got Mike Evans and Jordan Howard. It's a strong start. I feel like I like the A.J. Green, Devontae, or the Melvin Gordon Nelson better, just because Mike Evans is now a lot of mouths to feed there. A lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah, and it looks like D-Jax is lighting up that training camp pretty good.
All right, so the first stop on the hype train today is indeed in Tampa Bay. So there's been some rumors, some news. They're saying that it's very possible that Doug Martin, when he comes back from his 3-game suspension, will not necessarily be the lead running back. And that could fall to Jaquiz Rodgers. And that was a combo that a lot of people, at least in our previous mocks, were loving to get Doug Martin late and grabbing Jaquiz even later. What do you guys think is going to happen here? Are they going to get closer in ADP, or is potentially Jaquiz going to overtake Doug Martin in ADP? In terms of rounds, where are you seeing these things move?
Well, I'm going to start off. Sorry, darling. Me first. I could see the closer we get to season, the ADP shifting. As far as him overtaking, we need more word out of Tampa Bay. Like, we need more of a solid, Jaquiz is really impressing us, like that. I mean, people forget, Jaquiz has kind of been around forever. He's only 27. He's still in his prime, and last year he was a force. So it's one of those things where it's like, as much as I love Doug Martin, with suspension and the injury history, Jaquiz could be the safer pick.
I actually think he will surpass Doug Martin in the ADP. I mean, the closer we're going to get, and I mean, if we keep hearing negative things about how his training camp is and how his reaction to the team, I mean, it seems like you get either really good or really bad news out of Doug Martin anymore. And it just seems so flip-floppy, I guess would be the word I'd use right there. That I bet you that Jaquiz Rodgers, I always pronounce his name wrong, I have a feeling he's going to go probably middle 5th, low 4th, right when we get up to the wire, because I bet he has a hell of a preseason too. And once you count in the suspension, it's going to be a good move to get him that late.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You're going to get 3 games with him starting most likely, and if he impresses in those 3 games and the chemistry's there, the team might be smart to just roll with him until he either runs out of gas or there's an injury, God forbid, and they have to put Doug Martin in or work Doug Martin in slowly. So it makes it more of a definite thing. If you get one, you got to get the other. That is a combo package that if you're drafting, you need both pieces, I think, for sure.
All right, I got to interject. We're in the 3rd round. I'll give you a quick rundown. So the 2nd, we left off with Jamie taking Howard. We have USA taking Ajayi, Walsh taking Thomas. I took Todd Gurley. Bomonage, I think that's how you say his name. I'm not sure. Took T.Y. Hilton. J. Newt took DeMarco. Batty took Dez. Tum Tum took Gronk, which I don't like for a 2nd-round pick. I think that's way too early for a tight end. But then he followed it up with a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers in the 3rd round. Guys, how does that make you feel? Because to me, I don't like that at all.
When you start talking about how a dime a dozen wide receivers are, and you've got Le'Veon Bell as your running back A, you're not going to get Gronk later. I mean, that's kind of part of being in the first pick, right? He's got 19 more picks till he's back up again.
Yeah, but at the same time, I've discussed with Steve, I think this year running back is what you need.
See, and while I agree with that, you need every position, right? At the end of the day, you're going to need them all. And
yeah, you're going to need them all.
2 players bad enough, and I just don't see them
But you got to think.
Back to him in the 4th and the 5th.
You have Le'Veon Bell, right? You have
Right.
Gronk, and you have Rodgers. Right now, for running backs, the best on the board is either Lynch or Isaiah Crowell. I have as Elliott, Gurley, and Miller, where he could have taken any of them. I, right now, think I'm set up. I don't even have a quarterback or tight end yet, and I'm set up better. Gronk, he's great, but Jordan Reed's not off the board. Kelsey's not off the board. Hunter's still there. Like, there's still so many, like, decent tight ends, or quote-unquote elite tight ends with Reed and Kelsey. And you took Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to draft Derek Carr. I'm going to draft Derek Carr in, like, probably 5 more rounds. And I think Derek Carr should have similar production to Aaron Rodgers. It's just one of those things where I think the third, unless you're in like a 2 QB league or a super flex league, the third round is too early for a reach for a quarterback.
See, and like I said, once again, the only reason I argue is because I know that if those guys are gone, or if those guys are still available in that situation, he's not going to get his chance at him on this swing right here. So, I mean, if he wants those players bad enough, that's the time to grab them, right? Like, that's the only chance you have to grab them, because I guarantee you they're not going to survive the 3rd and the 4th.
Yeah. I mean, and this is something that can very well happen in your drafts. You got a guy who just loves certain players. Let him reach for him. Let the homer grab, Dak Prescott in the 3rd round. Let him do it. Don't try to convince him otherwise. Tell him to listen to SleeperWire to get better advice. But yeah, it can happen. But he's got a good start, good core. We'll see what he does on his next 2 picks here if he fills in some blanks. I am a little unsatisfied with my 4th round pick of Terrell Pryor. Guys, make me feel better about that.
He was looking really nice in training camp.
Really?
So far, so good. Honestly, I saw him make a few grabs. The highlights, and yes, they're highlights. So, I mean, unfortunately, I don't have the money to fly down there and check them out personally. But what I've seen so far and what the coaches are saying, it looks good. He really impressed us last year. It's kind of crazy that he was a QB just a few short years ago, and now he's coming out as a high-end receiver. So I do like the pick.
All right. I mean, I was thinking Jarvis Landry there because I know Jarvis Landry's not going to make it back to me. But I'm a little bit concerned about touchdowns for him this year. I just don't know if he's going to get any.
Well, he's a PPR stud, and this is a PPR draft, and I know you're going to be doing standard later for the Metal Mondays.
Yeah.
But in PPR, I love Jarvis Landry, and I think I've said that to you many, many times.
Yeah.
That's a tough call between Terrell Pryor and him.
Yeah, I in approaching this one, I was thinking, let me get a couple wide receivers who I think will be touchdown machines, or at least touchdown, get a few, and then I'll grab like Golden Tate or an Edelman or a Fitz in the 5th round, to kind of back up that consistent PPR type of guy.
Well, I mean, I took Alshon in the 4th, and Jarvis Landry was there. He just got taken in the 5th. I took Alshon for the same reason you didn't take Jarvis, because it was the touchdown factor.
Right.
To me, I was kind of like, I kind of want those touchdowns to be there. Not necessarily sure Jarvis is going to get it done, and I know Alshon should see high volume.
Well, let's talk about Tum Tum, his 4th round pick here. So you went. This is a guy that went Lev, Gronk, Aaron Rodgers, Ty Montgomery as his RB2, and that is another stop on the hype train because we got a little word out of Green Bay. Speaking Monday, Mike McCarthy says Ty Montgomery a full threat. Now, that sounds a lot like Donald Trump speak, but I like it. But what does that mean? Is Ty Montgomery? Do you believe he can be the full threat? I mean, he kind of has that pass catching ability. That he's not the biggest running back, but is he worth a 4th round pick?
I believe so, personally. In PPR, I think he's a stud. I think Ty Montgomery proved himself last year, and I just don't understand why people won't accept it. They'd rather draft a rookie who's never done anything, and Joe Mixon isn't the caliber rookie that Ezekiel Elliott was, but people are looking at him like, oh, dude, he's a 4th round pick. And it's like, well, if I can get Ty in the 4th round, I'll take Ty.
Yeah, he's on a more proven offense. I mean, you've got Green Bay, you've got Aaron Rodgers, right? So, I mean, you're going to have a little bit less production out of the running game, but he's going to be throwing to Ty Montgomery. So, I don't know. I actually think in the 4th round is actually late for him. That's very good value.
It's my pick here. Shoot. Well, you got Tevin Coleman. I mean, there's Spencer Ware, Doug Martin, Peterson, Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook is leading Minnesota's back right now, but I think that's because Murray's hurt. C.J. Anderson, who's garbage. Bilal Powell, no. LeGarrette Blount, who I kind of like, and Tevin Coleman. Realistically, I would go Tevin Coleman in a PPR because last year he was an animal.
Yeah, I
don't see anything changing.
Well, Mike completely scooped me on Danny Woodhead there. I was ready to take Danny Woodhead on the turn. So, Mike, your thoughts on what you took Danny Woodhead in the 5th round? You think he's good value there?
Dude, I'm all about Danny Woodhead this year. So now you're going to have a different quarterback for the first couple of weeks. It's looking like too. So he's going to have to outlet it, and there's no tight end. So. Yeah. Everything's shaping up in his way.
Okay, so yeah, I agree. That definitely pushes Woodhead up a bit, and even Terrence West up a bit. I mean, he's going to be a starting running back probably, worth something.
We've all heard the hype. We've all heard the hype that Carlos Hyde might be getting traded. Carlos Hyde goes to the Ravens. Danny Woodhead is then irrelevant. My personal thoughts. What do you guys think?
Well, I feel like Woodhead's relevant now. I think he's
this second. I'm just saying, in the off chance, the 49ers are loving Tim Hightower. They've already said they loved, is it Joe Williams or Jamal? No, it's Joe Williams. Jamal's at Green Bay.
Yep.
Hyde looks like he's on the way out, and he's only 25. I feel like he would fit that kind of Ray Rice role that the Ravens have been lacking for years.
I got a feeling that's just going to make him kind of rotate guys in for circumstances, though. So, yeah, I guess it would kind of take a hit on the power back or the lead back. They might rotate in more, but I don't think Woodhead is that kind of back. I think he's going to be in more often than not, especially like you said, Mike, the tight end situation's kind of crumbling over there as well.
Yeah, it's not looking good. They looking like Crockett Gilmore's out now. He's going to miss some time.
They can get Gary Barnett. She's still a free agent. Guys, can I riddle off the draft picks real quick?
Yes, please.
All right, so we left off, it's kind of funny, in the 3rd round. We're already on the 7th, so I'll go quick. 3rd round, we had Tum Tum taking Aaron Rodgers, Batty taking Amari Cooper, Newt taking Hopkins, BMO, that's what I'm going to call him from now on, taking Doug Martin. I took Lamar Miller. Walsh took Travis Kelce. USA took Cooks. Jamie took Keenan Allen. Steve took Crowell, which I do think is actually a decent pick for the 3rd round. The Darling took Fournette, give or take, that's my personal opinion. Then Then Darling took Allen Robinson. Steve took Terrell Pryor. Jamie took Devontae Adams. USA took Tom Brady. Walsh took Demaryius Thomas. I took Alshon Jeffrey.
I'll continue. We had Greg Olsen, then Marshawn Lynch, then Watkins, then Montgomery. And then in the 5th round, it went Landry, Joe Mixon, Christian McCaffrey, Amir Abdullah. Another quick stop on the hype train. They're talking about we're going to get him 200 carries this year. Very involved in the offense. We'll talk about that. Then Golden Tate, Max, great PPR pick. Carlos Hyde, uncertain future. Jordan Reed, Gillislee, who Max, I know you've got strong feelings on. He's a good, you think he's got a good chance to take over that LeGarrette Blount role?
I think that's why he was brought in, because I think I've said it many, many times. James White is my Dion Lewis this year. I feel like he's going to be the one to really be the scat back, to catch everything in the backfield. But they need that power back. I just feel like James White doesn't have the build, but I think Gillislee is big enough to where he could do that for Bill Belichick.
All right, and then Crabtree, Woodhead, and we come back around. We got Edelman, Coleman, Eifert, Ingram, Breeze, Tyreek Hill, rather. Fitzgerald, yep. Martavius Bryant, Dante Moncrief, he fell quite far. Jamison Crowder fell, what is he? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th round. That's pretty good. Stephon Diggs right after him as well.
I couldn't decide between Tyreek and Jamison Crowder, to be honest.
Yeah, I was hoping he was going to be there, come back around, but somebody scooped him. All right, I'll do the honors of picking Willie Snead. There you go, Professor Chris. Nothing really too crazy. I'm surprised that Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker went in the same round back-to-back. That one surprises me.
Well, Eric Decker, he's my 4th receiver, and I waited so long to get him. Like, he was what round are we in? He was the 7th round pick.
Yeah.
My fourth receiver, Eric Deck. Like, that to me is great value. I think he's going to be great.
All right, let's see. I did want to talk real quick. Max, you just grabbed Dalvin Cook. I do want to talk real quick about one other stop on the hype train here. We talked briefly about the Hightower. He took he took the first rep at training camp, but we decided off air that was because Joe Williams was tying his shoes and Carlos Hyde was in the bathroom. So don't get too excited about that. But Max, they say Eagles running back Wendell Smallwood has continued to receive fewer practice reps than rookie Donnell Humphrey in training camp. You are an Eagles expert. You love the Eagles offense this season. That's good news for Blunt, right?
Well, it is and it isn't, because Blunt they're not really saying much about, but a few weeks ago they said Smallwood was going to be kind of their workhorse back this year, and now that it looks like they're getting away from him. I don't think the Eagles know what to do, but I do think they understand that they have a commodity in LeGarrette Blount, that they don't really have to worry about him. You know what I mean? He's not going to catch the ball for them. They have a million receiving running backs, but they know if they give LeGarrette Blount the ball, he's going to get them 3 yards. So that's why I love him this year as far as a standard running back for like those touchdowns. I think LeGarrette Blount's going to be that kind of player like Tolbert last year or the year before, where he'd get like 30 yards a game and a touchdown. So it's like you don't want him as your RB2 or RB1, but he could be a nice little flex to have for those garbage time touchdowns or for the short yardage work.
All right, guys, we are going to take a very quick break. We'll be coming back to the mock draft in about 30 seconds right after this. Sleeper's time is running out for that pristineauction.com raffle of the signed Antonio Brown jersey. Don't forget, you can still enter. We are closing the entries at the beginning of preseason, so there's still a little bit of time. All you have to do, go to wherever you've listened to the podcast, iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, wherever you find it. Leave us a nice review, take a screen grab, take a picture, whatever. Email it to us at sleeperwire@gmail.com. and you will have one entry into the drawing for the signed Antonio Brown jersey from pristineauction.com. And Pristine Auction is our choice of places to go when we want sports memorabilia, helmets, balls, posters, and jerseys, all signed, all certified, all at great prices from pristineauction.com. Check them out today.
This is Sean Merriman, and you're listening to the SleeperWire Show.
All right, Mike, I want to talk about one of your picks here as well, or somebody that I know that you've talked about before. Another stop on a hype train in Cleveland this time. Hugh Jackson says he wants to use Duke Johnson as much as possible this season. Mike, what does that mean for me? If I'm a Duke Johnson, if I want to draft him late in the rounds, what do you think that means? Use him as much as possible.
I think that they say that last year too. I mean,
yeah, I think they did.
I really like Duke Johnson. I mean, he's a great running back and everything like that, but I don't see him taking that job from Isaiah Crowell. I mean, that guy has just been in beast mode forever now. I mean, he's just been producing for 2 solid years under the radar. I mean, this guy still has a late draft pick and everything like that. I don't know. I cannot get on board that hype train, Steve. I just can't. I fell for it last time, and I fell for it the time before that too. And I'm not buying into it anymore because of how much they use Crowell and how necessary he is. I'd use him too.
Right. What if they came out and said, we're gonna Andre Ellington and make him a wide receiver?
Then I'd probably get a little bit more on board, because then I could see him at least getting used. That's my biggest beef about him, is that I just don't see him getting used that much.
Did you say Andre Ellington?
Yeah, because the Cardinals had him as running back, then they changed him to wide receiver in the offseason, I thought, and I think he's back to running back. I don't know what they're doing with him.
Well, he has great hands, and I think he'd be better off for them as a receiver, but I thought we were talking about Duke Johnson, and I was just so confused. I was like, wait a second. I just got lost.
I said if the Browns pulled an Andre Ellington and made Duke Johnson wide receiver. Would that excite Mike more than not?
Duke Johnson's a wide receiver would be great, and I think that would excite people more.
Like I said, it gives him a potential workload, which I just don't think he has right now.
I don't know. All I know is I said I'd draft Derek Carr 5 rounds after Aaron Rodgers, and I was wrong. I drafted him 6 rounds after Aaron Rodgers. But Andrew Luck got drafted before Matt Ryan or Derek Carr. Andrew Luck is set to miss time. Is Luck still worth these high picks? Is he still a quarterback you would all go after? Because he hasn't impressed me. I don't think he's done anything to deserve this praise. I mean, I'm not knocking the kid's talent. He's clearly like a future Hall of Famer if he can stay healthy. But that's like the major if, because no one knows what he's going to do.
Yeah, it's shoulder injury and stuff. That's a huge red flag to me. That they just can't come out and say, like, okay, he's good to go. He's throwing. They keep saying, well, he's not going to practice until this day. He's not going to be in action until this day. That cloud of uncertainty is always something that scares me away from drafting somebody. Because especially if you're drafting early, like, there's still how many weeks until football? So much can happen. So much can go wrong. And if you pull a 4th round or 5th round pick on a quarterback and then he's out for half a season, for half a fantasy season,
you're screwed.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's like Andrew Luck. I think when he came into the league, everyone saw like another better Big Ben. This big, bulky, just lumberjack of a quarterback coming into the NFL. And I know he doesn't have an O-line, so it kind of sucks for him. But the guy's hurt all the time. All the time. And I just don't understand why people trust that. That's like drafting Phillip Rivers and trusting their wide receivers. Like, you can't do that because Phillip Rivers, by game 9, or by week 9 rather, is going to have one receiver that he started the season with because everyone else is going to be hurt.
It started already. I can't figure out why that happens, but yeah, it's nearly a reality you have to deal with. It's almost something you have to deal with. There was another player that I wanted to talk about on the hype train here. Eric Ebron. This is today actually.
I hate him.
Hamstring injury during Sunday's practice. Not a lot of details on it, but go ahead. Go ahead. Chew on it.
I hate Eric Ebron. What type of player screwing you? Eric Ebron. Him and Tyler Eifert. Eifert, yeah, he's showing flashes. Eric Ebron looks like he has the intangibles. But much like Andrew Luck, besides a season maybe, or a few amazing games, you've done nothing. You've shown me nothing that I can get behind. And it sounds bad, but it's just one of those things where it's guys, I'm not going to spend a high draft pick on someone who's going to miss half the season. It's just not going to happen. And unfortunately, with players like Eric Ebron's dropping in this mock draft, but the closer we get to the season, if this guy does well in preseason, he's going to fly up the boards because he has all the intangibles of being a great tight end.
Yeah.
I'm admitting it. He could be a great tight end, but the man cannot stay on the field. It's kind of like if you're drafting running backs and you have Thomas Rawls and Eddie Lacy, take Eddie Lacy. Do not take Thomas Rawls because I don't believe Thomas Rawls can stay healthy. The man's too small. He runs like a bowling ball, and his body can't handle it. Some people aren't made for the NFL.
Right.
Yeah, you have the height, you have the speed, you have the size, but your bones are made of glass. That's why I don't like taking Rob Gronkowski. Jordan Reed, even though he plays through it, gets hurt all the time. Alshon Jeffrey, who plays through every injury, is hurt all the time, and the only reason I hold him in high regard is because he'll play through it, which I find is a great, it's a nice attribute. He never gets, really hurt. It's always he's a little banged up. Mm-hmm. This happened to him, but, he'll be fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, if you listen to the hype, it's Eric Ebron's breakout year, but like
so
Max
was last
said,
year and the year before.
Like Max said, there's just something fishy about this guy. It's hard to trust him. Mike, you see anything interesting in the last 3 or 4 rounds here that caught your eye?
It's a pretty damn good draft all around. Everywhere I'm looking, the Eric Decker, Brandon Marshall, that's about the two that kind of stand out to me. But everybody else, you can kind of explain their positioning. You can actually get a rational thought behind why they would pick them when they did. And again, I'm also for the guy taking the the Rob Gronkowski, Aaron Rodgers in rounds 2 and 3. Because, again, I don't think you're going to get him. You go with what your gut tells you, and you get a good team put together. And I like right now, his team looks pretty damn good to me.
Yeah,
you got Jarvis Landry,
Yeah.
you got Jameson Crowder, Stephon Diggs. I mean, that's not a bad wide receiver core. And then he's got Jaquiz Rogers. We were just talking about him before the show. I mean, that guy's going to be pretty damn awesome, I think. And getting him as late as he got him, that's a good value.
I like Jaquiz. I was looking at him too. I'm kind of pissed that I didn't get him.
I was about to say, this guy has...
Steve, you son of a bitch.
Sorry.
Yeah.
This guy has Tum Tum. After starting off, what a lot of people would have said, "Whoa, what are you doing?" has really recovered nicely. And like you just said, Mike, he is building depth with good quality picks, and got himself his backup tight end in Martellus Bennett, which is not a bad backup tight end. Although there's some questions of whether or not he'll get used a lot. But man, an injury or two in the wide receiving core, I think he might be pretty valuable in Green Bay.
And guys, I'm mad at Steve because he took my favorite late round pick in Jordan Matthews. He's my PPR sleeper for days. Oh, I'm so mad. He just ruined my whole 12th round.
That's why you don't draft with people that you talk to every week about fantasy football. They know all your moves.
I'm so mad right now. I don't know who to take anymore. I'll bounce back. Cole Beasley's still on the board. You guys aren't drafting, so I can say that now.
Yeah, there you go.
But now I'm stuck. Kevin White, Cole Beasley, or Josh Doxson, because Kevin White, if he remains healthy, and this is late enough as to where I'll take that risk, he could be great. Josh Doxson, on Washington, supposed to be a stud. If he remains healthy, could be great. Or you have Cole Beasley, the known commodity. I think I might have to go Kevin White.
Do you guys, just in terms of like late round strategy that maybe will help out some listeners, do you ever have do you mix like that, Max or Mike? Do you guys do like one lottery pick, one commodity that's not, superstar level, or do you just do a lot of lottery picks, or do you do all known commodities? Like, what's your approach in those late rounds, like say 9 through 12, 9 through 13?
Who would you like to answer first?
I'd like to hear Dirty Jobs Mike.
Right.
Okay, so here's how I love how you call it Dirty Jobs, Mike, because goddamn, my job is dirty too. But, so right here, just in this instance alone, I grabbed Jamal Charles. So that might be a little bit of hometown. I love the Broncos. Right? But at the same time, it's still Jamal Charles. I'm on the same bandwagon as I am with Adrian Peterson and I am with Marshawn Lynch in Oakland. I mean, I think these guys are all still solid, valuable names that are good guys. But then I back that up with the Denver defense because I'm thinking that kind of completes my team. I need a decent quarterback, which to me they're a dime a dozen, and I'm set. I've got and then a kicker, right? But that's typically what I'll do. I'll try to go with something solid and reliable that I feel like I can run through the season with, and then I'll gamble on one. And then I'll gamble again on the next one, and then I'll grab my quarterback and my kicker.
Max, your strategy in the late rounds?
In the late rounds, I mean, if you look at how I draft this whole draft, I literally locked down 3 starting running backs, locked down 4 starting receivers, and then I started reaching. And I reached once, grabbed a quarterback, grabbed a tight end, just to make sure I rounded my team off. And until the last 2 rounds where I have to grab a tight end or a kicker and a defense, I will just do lottery picks. And so, Kevin White could work. If Josh Jackson's there, I'll grab him too, because God knows, I'll sit on him, see what happens. And I know this is I might actually grab another tight end and see what goes on there. I know this is a mock draft, but it's practice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where this is my team right now. If I could honestly have this team in every league this year, I would be ecstatic.
Drafting with our SleeperWire fans, that makes this a great draft because this is great practice right here. This seems like I'm in my home league right now. I'm getting the same kind of options I'd get there. All my people just keep taking all my good players, and I'm like, man, every single time.
Oh, you guys know our the guy who runs our social media is a good friend of mine, and we're in several leagues together. And there are players that I'll watch him draft, and he'll immediately look at me. because he heard me talk about them that week on the show, and I'll be like, dude, I'm going to hit you as soon as we leave. Like, I swear to God. It's fun, and it sucks at the same time when you draft with people who listen to the show, who like kind of pick your brain for fantasy advice, because you're literally telling them what you're going to do, what you're looking for. So if they're the pick before you or after you, they know, like, they kind of know what to expect from you. As to where I'm sure Steve knows by now, like this year especially, running backs. And my first 3 picks were running backs. I don't think that surprised any listener of ours, Steve, you. Wouldn't surprise any of my friends who have asked me about fantasy this year, because that's what I believe in. I'm a very running back heavy person. I already have 5 of my team, so.
Yeah, and I've kind of bought into that strategy as well. I didn't go super running back heavy early, but I have, 8 already? No, 6. 6 running backs, and I only need 2. So I'm trying to cover my bases for injuries that'll happen, or guys that'll not perform. And then, I'm drafting in this 10-team league. I'm waiting on quarterback. I am in the 3rd to last round, and I still can choose from Cam Newton, Mariota, Rivers, and Stafford. I mean,
take Carson Wentz.
Or Carson Wentz. There's tons of guys to choose from at quarterback still, and I'm thinking about waiting another round because I'm personally not going to draft defense or kicker. I'm treating this like I would if I didn't have to, and I like to just draft all players, and I'll make trades or drop somebody and pick up a defense and kicker before kickoff in the first week.
See, like with me, in a few leagues I'm in, we actually made it a rule where you have to draft a full team. I see why you're doing it in a mock draft, but if we were in a league, like we are in leagues together, but like if this was a draft for our league and I'm commissioning it, I'd be like, yeah, drop 2 players right now and add them. Like as soon as the draft ends, drop 2 and add right now.
All right,
like, either do that or I'm locking your team.
All right, Commish. I'll follow your rules when I play with you. But yeah, I'm screwed now.
It's your pick.
I know. I'm trying to figure it out.
I'm stuck now. So let's see. Any exciting lottery picks? Zay Jones got drafted. I didn't expect him to be drafted in this one.
Gio is still available, and so is Shane Vereen. Now, I don't even know. What are the Giants doing for a run game this year?
Your guess is as good as mine. We have to get Hussein on.
Vereen, I think, is like their best option right now. So if you want to take a flyer at a running back, you got Vereen. Carson Wentz, you son of a bitch.
That's right.
Chris Hogan's still available. He's a lottery. Perryman is a lottery pick. Even though they have Macklin and Wallace right now, so I probably wouldn't grab Perryman. Tyler Lockett, everyone's been saying he should break out soon. Sterling Shepard. I still like Sterling Shepard on the Giants.
Yeah, I do too.
Rashad Matthews. Cole Beasley still available. Josh Doxson still available. Marlon Mack, who could become the starting running back. It depends on how he kind of emerges.
I've been in some really big team drafts. One in particular has like 11 bench spots, 12-teamer. I think we had 21, 22 rounds.
Is that our league?
No, it's a fantasy life team. But so the waiver wires is just desolate. There's nobody out there. But I want to get you. We tried not to ask you guys too much advice. Adam and I are running the team, but I want to get you guys' thoughts. What do you think of Braxton Miller in Houston? He kind of reminds me of like the Terrell Pryor type of quarterback turned running back.
I loved Braxton Miller last year.
Yeah, but he didn't do much. He couldn't catch the ball.
Yeah, he couldn't, and he got hurt. I mean, there's room for him. What is he to you? Like, I don't have your team in front of me. I don't like.
Oh, late bench, deep bench, lottery pick.
I mean, it depends. Like, if Kevin White or someone like that was available, like Dixon was available or Doxson was available, I'd probably go for them.
Oh
or
no,
even Mike Wallace right now, who's available.
No, it was between him and Jeremy Curley.
Curley had a decent year last year, but I don't know what's going on over there. I probably would have gone with Braxton. I like Fuller.
He was gone.
I know people are really low on him this year.
Yeah.
I really like him a lot. I don't know. Houston is one of those teams where it's going to be a surprise. I don't know what's going on. I don't know the QB situation. I don't know the running backs. Like, I know it's Lamar Miller, but they have a new offensive coordinator, a new quarterback. I wish they had a new head coach.
So does Houston.
So,
but
yeah, right?
He's relatively new. They're giving him a shot.
I mean, I like Braxton, so you gotta roll the dice. I mean, it's not the answer you're looking for, but it's the answer I got for you right now. Cause
yeah, no, I mean it was like a toss up between.
It's too soon in the season.
Between just a couple lottery picks, Mike. The Carson Wentz is your quarterback. Got him in the second to last round. Did you do that just to spite Max, or do you really believe Carson Wentz can be a starting quarterback for you?
So I'm a huge college football fan, right? And I'm a huge Todd Bowles fan, who's now the coach of the Wyoming Cowboys. So total home team right there. But Carson Wentz came from the Bowles program, right? So I love Carson Wentz. I've always liked him. I've always felt like he was awesome. Last year, he really surprised me. Came out a lot more solid than I thought he would be for the NFL. He out exceeded my expectations when I had really high expectations for that guy. But no, it wasn't despite Max. It was because I love getting him in the 15, 13, whatever.
You're not spiting me. I think it's an amazing pick. I love Carson Wentz this year. I'm a huge Derek Carr homer this year, just with the weapons there and his ability. But if I can't get Derek Carr and I'm in a position where I have to wait, I'm going to go Carson Wentz. That's not even a question. The weapons there are fantastic. And I needed a kicker with the last round.
I'm just looking for any more hype train stops. It doesn't look like too many more, unless you guys have heard of any
Josh
stops.
Doxson.
Well, tell me about him.
Doxson was supposed to be a stud last year for Washington, and he got hurt. They expected him to basically just take over the number 2 role in the team, and he got injured. He was supposed to be an absolute stud for them. So he's one of those players, much like Kevin White, who, if he can stay healthy, all the signs are there pointing to an elite player. Young Ho Koo. I have the best kicker in the league.
I was just going to say that. I'm like, did I really just get Bryant with the last pick?
Yeah, you can have Bryant, dude. My kicker's name is Young Ho. If we did a defensive draft too, I could get freaking Clinton Dix. But you got to say his name haha. All right, let's go over this draft real quick.
Yes,
this draft I feel like is better than last week's because, like you said, there really isn't many oh my god, what's this person doing? Even Tum Tum, who at first I was like, what is going on? He straightened it out. He has a nice team now, even by the end. And I know Batty wants us to look at his team because he said it, so I will. Let's see who he's got. He starts off with David Johnson, gets Des Bryant, Amari Cooper, and Sammy Watkins. I hate Sammy Watkins. Goes Joe Mixon, Dante Moncrief, Andrew Luck, don't like that. Eddie Lacy, Zamaj Perrine, Quincy Enunwa, useless. Duke Johnson, useless. Kenny Britt, maybe. Zach Ertz, thumbs up. Devin Funches, who knows. Arizona Cardinals defense. I went through that fast, but you guys can see the board. What do you think of his team? Baddies.
I don't necessarily like it. It started going really south for me at Sammy Watkins.
Yeah.
I like Joe Mixon a lot this year. Andrew Luck. And I just don't like locking into a quarterback that early just because you're forced to play him. I like to stream my quarterback because I didn't spend the high value pick, so I could just swap from one to the other to the other. To me, that always locks you in, and now you're locked into a guy that gets injured a lot. So I really like Andrew Luck, though, too. I mean, he's an amazing quarterback. He won me a championship just last year, but he's out a lot. He's hurt a lot.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite draft right now, or team that isn't one of our teams, is going to have to be Jay Newt's. I like Antonio Brown, DeMarco second round, DeAndre Hopkins, Lynch, McCaffrey. I'm not the biggest McCaffrey fan, but, he could do something. And then he goes Martavius Bryant, who once reinstated should be good. Jimmy Graham, who I think is set for a bounce back. Calvin Benjamin, who I like. Theo Riddick, who is set for a bounce back year, and the PPR should be good. He grabs Russell Wilson, who should be decent. Cameron Meredith, Marvin Jones. I got to continue scrolling down. Corey Coleman, who I do like. Thomas Rawls is not the best. And Cole Beasley. So he actually drafted a very good PPR team. He kind of covered all his bases as far as running backs go. So I really like Jay Newt's team. I think that's probably my favorite of the teams that are currently in front of me that isn't one of ours. Steve, do you have a favorite one?
I don't want to go favorite. I want to go two teams I'm slightly concerned about. BM Ownage and Wash Your Mouth Out. Only 1, 2, 3, 4 running backs on each team, and none of them are particular. I mean, besides McCoy, none of them are particularly PPR guys. And while they do have pretty solid teams otherwise, I think they might want to forego 1 or 2 mid-round picks and just grab a little bit more running back depth because, they each have BM Ownage starting running back is Amir Abdullah. That's his RB1.
He took Doug Baldwin in the 3rd round. Marshawn Lynch, Ty Montgomery, they were still on the board. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's one of those things where I think that was a reach.
Well, it might also been a product of our draft because you went RB heavy. Me and Mike.
I got
both
Lamar
went
Miller
RB
after
heavy.
his pick, though.
Yeah, that's true.
He drafted Doug Baldwin, then I got Lamar Miller. Then you got Isaiah Crowell, Fournette went, Montgomery went, Lynch went.
Yeah.
And then it was back to him. He took a tight end. And this is kind of like another thing. Like, I drafted Hunter Henry. I think he'll be just as good as Greg Olsen. Like, Greg Olsen will have some bigger games, but like for consistency-wise, about the same. It's one of those things where I don't like it. I mean, he drafted for a standard. That's what he did.
Yeah.
Garrett Blunt's a standard running back. Matt Forte is a standard running back. And Abdullah could go either way.
Yeah, and BM Ownage, if you had gone running back instead of Doug Baldwin and everything else fell the same way, you'd still have Fitz and Sanders, who are both great in PPR in the next couple rounds. So you were good after your first 2 picks. It was time to pick a running back there. If we had to pick one team, not necessarily our teams, but any team in here that you would say not necessarily won the draft, but that you would not be excited to face week to week or any given week, which one would it be? For me, it would be Jay Newt.
That can't be your team?
Well, it could. I mean, no, you can't play yourself, no.
Well, I mean, I like Jay Newt's team. I don't think Christian McCaffrey is going to be that great. I don't know. This is the best mock draft I think I've had all season, all preseason, I guess you want to say. I am gushing over my team. But if I had to pick a single team I'd be afraid to go against, honestly, it'd be Steve's team. Your run game is probably the closest to a complete run game that I could see. And Nelson, Pryor, and Crabtree, or Jordan Matthews you could throw in there, I love that. Like, your team, I know you don't have a kicker or a defense, but as far as weapons go, your team is the team that I could be like, something really good could come out of that. You can literally do Melvin Gordon, Crowell, Jordy. This is the PPR. Keep in mind, you have Jordy, Terrell, Matthews, and you could throw Tevin Coleman at flex, and right there, boom. You know what I mean? You got a solid little roster right there. And that's not. And you have Cam Newton as QB. QBs should all roughly be the same. I mean, there's going to be a few outliers, but expect like 20, 25, 30 points from him, and whoever your defense is you add, or your kicker. Your team is the one I like the most besides my own. All
right. Mike?
Honestly, the one that I fear probably facing the most out of all of them is USAFCC. I mean, Julio Jones, you can skip right over Brandon Cooks because I agree. I don't really feel like he's way too expensive, and until I see him produce on a New England Patriots team, I'm not going to buy into the hype on that guy. But I really like Devontae Parker. I really think he's an amazing receiver, and I think he's going to rip it up this year for Miami. Randall Cobb following that up. I mean, you're talking about the wide receiver 2, 3 for that offense. I mean, it just depends on what Devontae Adams shows up that week. You've got Tom Brady with the backup of Kirk Cousins. That's never going to be bad. You've got Jordan Reed. If you can't use him because he's injured, you got Delaney Walker. And then I really like Rashard Matthews, too. I mean, to me, he's grabbing deep, but he's grabbing good. His running back core, we discussed that. I mean, that's not... You could definitely have a way better running back core than what he's got right now, and I think that would be what he does run into trouble with. But he's going to be scoring all kinds of points right there.
All right. Very good. This was a fantastic draft. I want to thank all the listeners that participated. Tum Tum, Shabadi, J Newt, BM Ownage, Wash Your Mouth Out, USA FCC 41, Jamie MF, and of course Max and Dirty Jobs Mike, both on the show with me today. Max, you first tell the listeners where they can find you on SleeperBot and Twitter and Fantasy Life.
You know, before I do that real quick, I am going to... There's a gentleman I told I'd give him a shout-out. Now, I don't know if you guys know this. The guys have made fun of me for it. I vape. I quit smoking. I vape now. I'm in a vape group on Facebook. And someone posted a GoFundMe for a person who is severely in need of help with medical issues. And an owner of a vape company immediately responded and donated an extreme sum of money. And I told him, like, that really, really impressed me, because that's why we're here. We're here to try to help people too. And it's Squid Industries. If any of our listeners happen to vape, guy makes amazing products. I actually have one of his mods. Awesome dude. His name's Eric. He owns Squid Industries. But I told him I'd give him a shout out just because that act of charity to me was just awesome, and that's what we should all be about. But if you want to reach us, you can go to Twitter at SleeperWire Show. Reach me. I'm Twitterless Max, because I don't have a Twitter right now. I'm on SleeperBot as Max SW. Or you can go to our website, SleeperWire.com. You can submit questions right there, listen to shows there, and we'll get back to you like within 24 hours usually.
You can catch me at Dr. Kane21 on Twitter, and Dr. Kane on SleeperBot and on Fantasy Life.
And I want to say thank you again to all the SleeperBot guys who joined us in the mock draft today. Thank you so much. Anybody listening, you can go to SleeperWire.com, as Max said, for all of our stuff. And please, please consider supporting us. If you like what we do, you appreciate our advice, go to our friend Rob's GoFundMe page, GoFundMe.com/Rob JR. That is where you can make a donation to help him get his treatments, to help him in his life, in his battle against chronic Lyme disease. And don't forget, every $10 denomination donation you make gets you an entry ticket into the Pro Am raffle. So, the more you donate, the more chances you have to play against industry professionals in the best fantasy football league in the world. Thank you so much for listening and participating, and we'll be back later this week. Have a great day.